support, and we need to have more communication like this with us young ladies, making certain that we understand who we are, what we're trying to do, and what we're in school to become. All encompassing the wonderful definition of being a woman. Yay!
Yeah!
I wrote a book, SheEO versus CEO. And it's not about competition. What it's about is effective communication with my brothers. I love my brothers. But there's an apparent difference between the way they work and the way they think versus the way we work and the way we think. We're nurtured differently. And sometimes men do things not unknowingly because of the way they were nurtured on how they're giving us a glass ceiling. I don't know if any of you have been in an office environment and you said something and it just went silent. But then the guy right next to you says the same thing you said, and everybody's like, yeah, that's great. These are the apparent differences. So ladies, what I want you to start understanding, inherently we are nurturers. So we have this nurturing nature. We always want to help. We always want to be a part of. We always want to contribute. But sometimes in the workforce, that's counterproductive. Because of the mere fact, the most important thing you have to do is to execute your position. And so some of the things that I love to tell young ladies when they're getting into the workforce is A, identify your position, but more importantly, B, understand where you want to go. And then create a chart, a growth chart, from where you are to where you want to go. Understanding the challenges, the differences of the necessary skill set you need to get there. Think like that, ladies, because sometimes we get comfortable in the position that we're in, and then they become dependent on us, and inadvertently what we've done is locked in our position. So never get too comfortable. Challenge yourself. The second thing, and ladies, this is really critically important, because sometimes we are used as the voice when we should be voiceless. So anytime somebody comes to you and asks a question, there are 4 questions you need to ask yourself before you answer that question. 1, why are you asking me this question? 2, who benefits from the answer of this question? 3, how are they going to use the answer to the question I'm contributing? And 4, should I even answer? And if the answer to that one is no, you give them a question. Why are you asking me? Because, see, the second question, how, who benefits from it? So many times we as women, we're nurturers and we want to give that extra advice, right? But Paul is now going to use that to go to Michael, his boss, and say, see, Amelia said, when it's really his answer, but he doesn't want to use him. So it benefits him to go to Michael, the boss, and say what Amelia said, so he looks and gets a feather in his hat, and you get demoted and degraded, all because you wanted to help. The second thing is, how are they going to use it? I just showed that example. So they're one and the same. So ladies, please ask yourself those questions. The other thing I want to tell you, and I'll make it real brief, is our guys, I love them, because when I was Rough Rider, president of Rough Rider, Lifestyle, let me correct that. I was GM of Rough Rider Records, and then I became president of Rough Rider Lifestyle. That was the dog workout, the dogs, the dog food, the bikers that everybody saw around the nation. It was exciting. But at the same time, what I learned is, it was me and 100, 200 men. And what I learned is, my brothers, they kind of put us in categories. Not to fix us in a position, but to understand how to deal with us better. So what I've done now, in my book, SheEO versus CEO, I teach women how to put men in categories so that we can understand them better. So I'm going to take 2 minutes to break that down. The first one is the emperor. The emperor is like the gentlemen that are in this room. They support us. They want to be around us. But be careful of the false emperor. The false emperor is the one that wants to get close to you to find out your weakness, to take you out of the game. And how do you know the difference? If you're in a meeting and then you're in the office and the real emperor says, Amelia, I need you in this meeting. This is what it's about. I don't want you to say anything, but I just want you to listen. He's empowering me to get information so that I can facilitate more skill sets. The false emperor says, Amelia, I need you in this meeting, knowing some of my positions. And so when I vocalize, I'm now disrupting the whole room. It's not a feather in my hat. The second one is the enforcer. The enforcer is the brother, especially if you're a woman that's the SheEO calling the shots. There's the good one that says, he looks at you from a man's perspective and says, Millie, I really need you to work on this, because this is not working well with the fellas. Okay, thank you. That's honest critique. But the false enforcer is the guy that can't stand taking orders from a woman. So he comes to you and says, you need to do this, you need to do that. Ha! As soon as he does that and you identify him as a false enforcer, what you need to do is give him 6 more jobs. And the reason why you do that, you say, don't worry about this, but now I need you to do this, and this. Because what that happens is you are now macro-managing your male team instead of micromanaging. Because if you answer to that false enforcer, now any other guy that doesn't like taking orders from you is going to do the same thing. And now you, as the leader, is too busy solving little problems that you can't stay focused on the major problem. Again, to take you out the game. The third one, my brothers laugh at it all the time because they know I'm talking the truth. That's the egghead. The egghead is a dude that just doesn't like you because you're a female. They're out there, ladies. But the way that you deal with the egghead is very simple. If you're the project manager, many times we as women, we're the project manager because we're so organized and we're so multitasking and we do 10 things at one time, right? Because that's how we're nurtured. So lots of times we're the project manager. And so now you've got Paul, the egghead, that's going to deny it. So you say, Paul, before I start, give me 5 minutes to get everybody on the same page and then I'll give you the floor. Now, if he hates it, I've already identified that he hated it. So now, remember what I told you about earlier in the beginning of the conversation when you say something and nobody hears it? Well, the same thing happens when a woman sometimes in a meeting says something contrary to what the group is. They'll just dismiss it. But now they can't. He now has to quantify why he has that disdain, why he's negative. So, and if he likes it, it's a feather in your hat. It shows that you know the men that you're working with and that he knows that game recognized game. But the last one is the most important one, ladies, especially if you're in a managerial position. That guy is what I call the everyday. The everyday guy goes to work every day, doesn't create any problems, does his job, and goes home. He's the quiet one. But mind you, he never complains. So, remember Paul, the egghead that I told you about? Goes to Michael, my everyday guy, and says, isn't Amelia getting on your nerves? If he says yes, then your problem went from here to here. So what you have to do every day, and I do mean every day, ladies, you go up to Michael and say, hey, Michael, how's it going? We're good, right? You know if you ever have a problem, you come to me. What happens is when Paul, the egghead, goes to Michael that doesn't like problems, he said, man, go on with that. Amelia tells me every day if I got a problem, I go directly to her. You don't got that? To that. So these are just some of the tips. The last thing I want to let you ladies understand is, it is never that you can't. It is never that you can't. And that goes to everybody in this room. The only thing you need to learn is how. So please, we've got this issue of intergenerational. Let's get rid of that, please. Because many of us that have gone through the journey of life, and I'm a senior citizen, okay? So I've been around the block a couple of times. We've got knowledge that we can share with you that stops you from doing some of the mistakes that we did. So when you get in that stuck route, reach out. Are you with me?
Yes, ma'am.
So on 3, I want everybody to say SheEO versus CEO. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
SheEO versus CEO.